Hello everyone! Yes, I know that I said that this might have been my last race in Latvia XCO, but it went for the better. I kept in contact with Oleg from Daugavpils and we reached the agreement where he was able to convince race official, which was actually the same one, as well as in Karnikova, that alright, cameras on the bikes are fine as long as we don't use chassis. I'm back in Daugavpils after 2 years. It was actually my first XCO race there in Latvia in 2022, so I might be a bit sentimental to return here back, and that was the reason why I came to the race course one day before the actual start, just to check the race course. There was also one other Lithuanian, Justinas Biekša, who arrived on Friday, so we checked the course. Not much has changed. They improved a bit rock garden, as well as added a few additional A or B lines to choose from, not necessarily on the features, which was nice, and also they kind of introduced B lines. That was also last year, I guess, where it was not required to do those little small jumps. For some reason I love that surroundings, and in general the race course is not too much demanding, but still a lot of fun in it. One of the good things which happened was that organizers marked where the start lap is gonna be, so even on Friday it was crystal clear where we are going to go on the uphill and where the cut will be on the first lap, so you can see that in the map animation. And now we're jumping at the start where Justinas Biekša had the camera at the back while I carried it at the front. Whenever you see my onboards with two cameras, everything which is related to the orange color is about my data, and everything else which is whitish, grayish at this point is from Justinas Biekša or other rider who's carrying the camera for the race. It was the second start of the day and we were going for 6 laps. At the start climb I felt really well, and I was surprised myself that I'm staying with the front row. Well, that didn't last it for too long, but at least I managed to go on that climb, and actually I felt that they could go a bit faster in that initial climb, which was nice, so the legs were in right place and it was inspiring. Once we reached the first jump, I was really surprised by the guys' lines choice. They most likely decided to take those because in other areas it was quite sandy and dry. After it there was interesting place where normally you can go on the left, but there is also similar length line on the right, which Justinas took, and you can see on the right that he averaged more than 1000 watts in order to get through some of guys, and well, that was a new line. It was very unrolling. We checked it before the start on the warm-up lap. Well, Justinas tried it, he managed to overtake one, and it kind of paid off at this point. When you notice new Lithuanian surname, you probably don't know much about it, but Justinas Biekša is one of the strongest under 23 years old guys from Lithuania, and normally when he comes to a race he tries to fight for the podium. So when I understood that he's at the back, I found a place to allow him to go in front, because there's just no point of me trying to hold him back and that way reducing his chances to fight the front guys. Well, he had one misfortune where he skid on the corner, but when he reached the tarmac climb on the first lap, overtook them as it would be easy, and that made him into second position after the first lap. We will see how it went through for him later down the road, but myself, I was already lagging behind, and it was around 10th position after the first lap. If you watch my previous videos, you already know that I am going to change my fork to Fox from Sid, and the funny thing is I haven't changed it yet, but because I was already planning to do so, my Sid lockout decided to stop working completely, so that's the cost which you have to pay when you mention that you are going to change some parts and don't do it. Those parts just bounce back at you. After it finished, I noticed that just the cable loosened from the damper and it was not able to lock it. But if it would be 1 year ago, most likely I would ride that for the whole race thinking it's so hard, I can't do it anymore, it's like damn lockout. If only that would work, I would be going significantly faster. So this time I eliminated those mines completely throughout the whole race and ignored it and enjoyed, and that was probably one of the best decisions on this race day. Just what can you do? You won't be able to fix it, so why bother at all? So I was just going without thinking about it, and that paid off real well. Funny thing is that for 4 laps or so out of 6, I've been going together with Gatis Bormanis. I don't know, Gatis, if you are watching this, or do you remember, but 2 years ago that was exactly the same situation, where either Gatis or me was in front for majority of the race, and at that point I overtook him like last lap or something like that. I was wondering whether I will be able to repeat this year as well. If we to break down this race course, there were 4 climbs, steep enough, as well as jumps where you go at full speed and just jump them. There were also some fast corners on which I lagged, and those areas Gatis was either escaping from me or just closing the gap if I was in front. So after riding a few laps together, we already knew where one is stronger over the other, and then it was just mind games on the last lap, who's gonna overtake who. And I tried really hard to escape from him, but he was always at the back. I did the best I could to get him away until the tarmac climb, but that was unsuccessful, and then it started. So I tried as much as possible, but he responded, and then at some point I kind of reduced the throttle because it was a bit too much for me, and he added a bit more, and it was clear that on the raw garden I'm not going to be able to overtake him. And keep in mind that if on the last single track you come second, unless your opponent makes a mistake, there is a huge chance that you won't be able to overtake him. Gatis 1, Tom 10 1. We will have to meet another time in Daugavpils to figure out so who's better in Daugavpils. It's also worth mentioning that Gatis is from Masters group, Masters, maybe even Masters 2. Justinas Biekša for the first 3 laps was really strong, but then powers got away from him and he finished 7th. By myself, I finished 11th in the open category out of 42 participants and 9th out of 20 in the age group. Because I've been in Daugavpils 2 years ago, I also been in Latvia in Alūksne 2 years ago. So am I going to repeat the same events this year which I did 2 years ago? Well, unfortunately not in Alūksne this year, but I also been in Alpentour Trophy 2 years ago. If you want to introduce yourself to races happening in the Baltics area, or not necessarily, you can check full onboards or race analysis in my channel, where you can also figure out about the races like Muflon tracks, which actually happening in this weekend in Poland. So it's 3-day stage race where quite a lot of Latvians participate in that event. Shout out to Sugulda guys and Armand Priede, who is going to participate there this year, and talk about participating in the races and Latvians. There was XCM championship in Lithuania where Latvian pro wannabes participated there and took the double. So Oskars Mužnieks was first, where Lauris managed to take the 2nd place, overtaking Eimas Gudiškis, who is our national champ for few consecutive years. So does that mean that Latvians are stronger in MTB? Who knows? But Justinas Biekša, who participated in Daugavpils, also been there. I gave him a camera to capture the onboard, and unfortunately his race has been finished in 4 kilometers from start, where there was a massive crash. You can check full video in my channel, but I will just pinpoint few things. One is that not necessarily the one who caused the crash is the one to blame, because people say that Kertenis, the one who knocked off Valerijus Novikovas, is the one whose fault for that. But if we look a few moments before that episode, Domas Manika just missed the opportunity to jump in the left, and then he jumped after Oskars Mužnieks, where even in theory there was no gap. Then Artūras Kazkevičius had to brake a lot, turn to the left, and then he changed direction, where at that point Ignas Kertenis appeared and did what he did. Feel free to share your opinion about that episode. There was a nasty crash there, at least 5 people involved. The race for Justinas Biekša and Naujamiestis was over because of technical issues on their bikes. Andrejus Dolgovas was the one who went over the bars with the pink jersey, managed to finish the race in Masters category at 1st place. Congrats to Andrejus, because he was not able to move his hands up to the waist, and he was not even able to put on the champion jerseys, because he went on the shoulder straight into the ground, which was dry, which was hard. So in general it was misfortune, and hopefully he will be able to get on the bike soon, as well as fix the bike, because it had some issues as well.
Ne, važiuok, numušė mane, važiuok, ne, važiuok, ko stovi, 5 minutės mes čia stovime.
It's also worth mentioning why I haven't participated in XCM and just gave Justinas the camera. I've been there last year, and I think that the course is not to the level of XCMs should be, because I'm not as strong to participate for the champion jersey. I just don't see the point. Normally I go to the races where the race courses are nice. If I don't know how good they are, I just do it trial and error and figure out it on my own. But since I've been there for 2 years in the past, and last year it was also a championship, I can hardly understand how XCM can happen in the race course where there is 100 meters of elevation in 22 kilometers per lap. Leaving those politic things aside, I decided not to participate there because the race course is not of my taste, and I don't care whether it's championship or not. The only reason why I would want to come in such races is to participate with the strongest, but then you compare the chance to participate with the strongest and not quality race course for championship. It just doesn't make sense to go there. I also chatted a bit with Latvians how they decided to participate there, and they said that they've been in Latvia. By the way, Oskars is 4 times XCM champ of Latvia, and they just wanted to try something different, and they had chance. That was just super easy race course for them, and no surprises. The leader had almost 29 kilometers per hour speed of the race course, where top 20 guys managed to fit in 25 kilometers per hour speed, which, with all my respect to the guys who participate in this XCM, it's just not the speed which should be in championship. And it's not because everyone is super strong, it's because the race course is just super flat and fast. And normally when I create the profiles of the race courses, I a bit exaggerate the elevation, so that way we could see where the climbs are, and they are exaggerated. In this instance there is not much what to exaggerate because, well, they are almost all flats. Oh, and I even forgot driving through the river, which is non-drivable, and you have to almost swim. Yeah, that's pretty much enough of explanation why I haven't been there, and I don't regret it. Last but not least, for those who don't know, definitely not Latvians, who are Latvian pro wannabe cyclists are, so Oskars Mužnieks and Lauris Purniš, they are Latvians, most certainly, who participated in Cape Epic this year in amateurs category, and they just smashed everyone and took the first place. That means just one of two things. A is that Latvians are super strong on MTB, even worldwide, and B, those guys potentially could be pro cyclists, most likely, or maybe both, A and B. That said, next upcoming race is Akmenė MTB in Lithuania, and there we will meet in other XCO races. We will see, because my cat currently is trying to destroy the sofa. But one way or another, we'll meet somewhere. So that's it, thanks for the time, and I hope to see you around. And next time the bike will definitely going to be the Fox, for sure.